When the world strips you of everything you thought you had, when the people you trusted vanish and the comforts you once leaned on disappear, you are left with only yourself. That moment, as brutal as it feels, is not the end. It is the beginning, because true strength is not built when life is soft, when the couch is comfortable, when the phone is full of validation, and the path is paved with ease. True strength is forged in isolation, in those nights when no one is coming to save you, when silence feels heavier than noise, and when the only voice you hear is the one inside your own head. Comfort doesn't build warriors, it weakens them. Isolation forces you to face yourself without distraction, without excuses, without safety nets. It is in isolation that you learn what you are really made of. Anyone can smile when they are surrounded by applause. Anyone can pretend they're strong when love, money, and support are flowing. But who are you when the applause fades, when no one calls, when there is no hand to hold and no shoulder to lean on? That is when character is revealed. That is when discipline, grit, and resilience are born. People fear isolation because it strips away the illusions they've been hiding behind. But the ones who embrace it, who stand in that storm of loneliness and refuse to break, they are the ones who become unshakable. Think about the sharpest sword. It does not become strong sitting in a box, safe from friction. It becomes strong in the fire, in the heat, in the hammering of the blacksmith's hand. The same law applies to you. Life will hammer you, it will burn you, it will place you in situations that feel unbearable. But isolation is the forge, and if you endure, you come out sharper, stronger, and untouchable. Comfort dulls the edge, struggle sharpens it. In isolation, you meet your demons, you face your insecurities, your doubts, your fears. There's no one to distract you, no noise to drown them out. And though it feels suffocating at first, this is where transformation begins. Because when you fight those battles alone, when you wrestle with your own shadows and emerge still standing, you realize you no longer need the approval or protection of anyone else. You are enough. You become self-reliant, self-aware, and self-driven. That realization is worth more than gold because no one can take it from you. People spend their lives chasing comfort, thinking happiness lies in making life easier. But easy never made anyone extraordinary. Easy never carved legends. Easy never inspired the world. Look at the greatest achievers, the strongest men and women in history. They were not built in laughter and ease, but in struggle and solitude. Their nights were long, their battles invisible, their victories earned in silence before the world ever saw them shine. Comfort is temporary pleasure, isolation is permanent strength. The truth is, comfort makes you dependent, but isolation makes you independent. Comfort whispers, "You're fine where you are," while isolation screams, "You're stronger than you think." Comfort chains you to mediocrity, but isolation unlocks the gates to your higher self. That's why so many people run from it. They drown themselves in noise, in distractions, in meaningless connections, because the idea of being alone terrifies them. But those who face it, those who walk willingly into the silence and embrace the loneliness, they tap into a level of strength the world cannot comprehend. There will be moments in isolation when you break down, when you cry, when you feel like giving up. But understand this, every tear, every crack, every scream that no one hears is shaping you into someone unbreakable. You are not weak for feeling pain, you are strong for enduring it. Every time you rise after falling, every time you push forward when no one is watching, you are building a foundation that cannot be destroyed. And when you finally step out of that isolation, you carry with you a strength that shines through your eyes, a presence that cannot be faked, and a confidence that does not depend on anyone else. Isolation also teaches you patience. Comfort makes people impatient, always chasing the next thrill, the next hit of validation. But isolation slows you down, forces you to sit with yourself, to wait, to build, to grow. You learn to appreciate the process, to respect time, to understand that strength is not an overnight miracle, but a long, grinding transformation. It teaches you discipline because in isolation there is no one to hold you accountable except yourself. And when you master self-discipline in silence, you become unstoppable in the noise of the world. The irony is that once you've been forged in isolation, you no longer fear it. You embrace it, because you realize it was never your enemy, it was your teacher. Comfort tries to keep you soft, but isolation made you sharp. Comfort tried to keep you asleep, but isolation woke you up. Comfort begged you to settle, but isolation forced you to rise. And here's the most powerful truth. Once you've been rebuilt in isolation, nothing can ever break you the same way again. People can leave you, money can be lost. Opportunities can vanish, but you will not collapse. You've already survived worse. You've already carried yourself when no one else would. That knowledge is unshakable. That is the core of true strength. So when life throws you into isolation, when the nights feel endless and the silence deafens you, don't see it as punishment. See it as preparation. See it as the fire that will forge you into who you were meant to be. Embrace it. Because while the weak are seeking comfort, the strong are being built in the shadows. And one day, when the doors open and the world sees what you've become, they will wonder how you became so unbreakable. But you'll know the truth, it was never comfort that built you. It was isolation. Pain is one of the most misunderstood forces in life. Most people see it as punishment, as if the universe is trying to break them down or rob them of joy. But pain is not punishment. It is preparation. Every moment of struggle, every heartbreak, every setback, and every sleepless night is not life's way of condemning you. It's life's way of shaping you. Pain is the sculptor, and you are the stone. And while the process feels brutal, every strike, every cut, every sharp blow is carving you into something stronger, sharper, and more resilient than you ever thought you could be. When you're in pain, it feels endless. The world feels heavy, your chest feels tight, and the tears burn your eyes. You ask, why me, why now, why this? And in that moment it feels like a punishment you don't deserve. But what you don't see is that pain is building you for battles you don't even know are coming. It is equipping you with endurance, wisdom, and toughness that comfort could never give you. It is preparing you to walk through storms that would destroy anyone who never learned to hurt, to endure, to rebuild. Think of the strongest people you know, the ones who radiate power, confidence, and unshakable presence. None of them got there through comfort. None of them became who they are by being handed an easy path. They were shaped by losses, betrayals, failures, and pain so deep that it could have destroyed them. But instead of letting pain bury them, they allowed it to mold them. They understood, maybe not in the moment but in time, that their suffering was never punishment. It was training. Pain is preparation because it reveals what you are made of. You don't discover your limits in happiness, you discover them in hardship. You don't learn who you are when everything is going right. You learn it when everything is collapsing. Pain strips you down to the raw version of yourself and forces you to face your weaknesses, your fears, and your doubts. That confrontation is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Because until you know what can break you, you will never know how to make yourself unbreakable. Most people run from pain. They numb it with distractions, hide from it with excuses, or bury it with temporary pleasures. But what they don't realize is that by running from pain, they are running from growth. Every time you avoid pain, you avoid the lessons it's trying to teach you. Pain is not here to destroy you, it's here to train you. Like a weight in the gym, it tears your muscles only to rebuild them stronger. Without resistance, you stay weak. Without pain, you stay unprepared. Life will test you. It will give you trials that feel unfair, losses that cut deep, and challenges that seem too heavy to carry. And in those moments, it is easy to believe you are being punished. But look closer. Every hardship is equipping you with something valuable. The betrayal teaches you not to depend on everyone. The heartbreak teaches you to love yourself first. The failure teaches you patience, persistence, and humility. The loss teaches you gratitude for what remains. Every pain carries a gift inside it, but most people never open it because they are too focused on the suffering. You must learn to reframe your pain. Instead of asking, why me, ask, what is this teaching me? What is this preparing me for? That shift changes everything. Because suddenly, instead of being a victim, you become a warrior in training. Instead of feeling punished, you feel prepared. Instead of drowning, you start swimming. Pain has always been your ally, though it disguises itself as your enemy. And once you understand that, you stop fearing it. Pain also teaches you appreciation. You cannot truly value joy without knowing sorrow. You cannot cherish peace without understanding chaos. You cannot honor love without surviving heartbreak. Pain deepens your capacity to feel, to empathize, and to connect with others. It gives you layers, depth, and wisdom that comfort could never provide. A person who has never faced pain may appear strong on the surface, but they are fragile within. The one who has endured pain carries a foundation that no storm can shake. Remember, every time you survive pain, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than you thought. The pain that once terrified you becomes the evidence that you can endure. And with every trial, your tolerance, courage, and resilience expand. This is why pain is preparation, because life will demand more from you than you think you can give. And only those who have trained in the fire will rise when others fall. Do not curse your pain. Do not resent it. Do not believe for a second that it means you are unlucky or cursed. Instead, thank it. Because while everyone else is sleeping comfortably, pain is making you unstoppable. While others live in illusions of safety, pain is arming you for reality. While others crumble at the first sign of adversity, pain is molding you into the person who can stand tall when the ground shakes beneath them. The truth is, the greatest version of you is hidden behind layers of pain. Each time you go through it, you peel away the weakness, the fear, the doubt, and what remains is strength, clarity, and resilience. Pain is not punishment, it is the path. It is the preparation for the battles, the victories, and the life you are meant to live. Without it, you would never discover who you truly are. So when the nights get heavy, when your chest aches and your world feels like it's falling apart, remember this: life is not punishing you. Life is preparing you. Preparing you to handle more, to rise higher, to walk stronger. Preparing you for opportunities that demand toughness, for relationships that demand wisdom, for dreams that demand perseverance. Every tear is watering the soil of your future. Every wound is carving a warrior out of your soul. And one day, when you stand victorious, you'll look back at your pain and realize it was never meant to destroy you. It was the training ground that made you who you are. There is something unshakably powerful about a woman who has been broken, who has walked through fire, who has been left with nothing but the weight of her own scars and still chooses to rebuild herself. The world often expects her to crumble, to surrender, to remain on the ground after life has thrown her down. But instead, she gathers the shattered pieces of her soul, and with trembling hands she begins to rebuild. Slowly, painfully, and without applause, she crafts herself back into someone stronger than before. And once she does, she becomes untouchable. Not because she has never been hurt, but because she has already survived the kind of pain that would have destroyed most. When a woman rebuilds herself alone, she becomes a force that no betrayal, no rejection, no abandonment can destroy. She has seen the bottom. She has felt the loneliness that burns at night when no one is there to listen. She has cried herself into silence, yet she still rises. That rise makes her dangerous in the most inspiring way. Dangerous to doubt, to weakness, to fear, because she knows now that she needs no one to validate her existence, no one to carry her through storms, no one to grant her permission to stand tall. She carries her own strength, her own voice, her own worth. And when she discovers this, no one can take it from her. The woman who rebuilds herself alone has learned the hardest truth, that she is her own foundation. People may walk in and out of her life. Circumstances may shift. The ground beneath her may tremble. But she no longer depends on anything external to define her. That independence radiates from her presence. You can see it in her eyes, a fire that doesn't flicker at the slightest wind, a depth that can only be forged through battles fought in silence. That kind of woman cannot be manipulated, cannot be broken again in the same way, because she knows exactly how to stand when the world tries to make her kneel. Her scars are not weaknesses, they are proof of her survival. Each scar is a story of resilience, a reminder that she has walked through pain and come out stronger. People who have never had to rebuild themselves cannot understand her strength, and many fear it, because it is rare and raw. She does not seek pity, she does not chase approval, she does not need saving because she has already saved herself. That's why she becomes untouchable. She is beyond control, beyond intimidation, beyond dependence. The process of rebuilding alone is not glamorous. It is nights of crying until the body feels empty. It is mornings of dragging herself out of bed when the weight of despair threatens to keep her buried. It is facing the mirror and seeing someone unrecognizable, broken, tired, vulnerable, and still whispering, "We will rise." She becomes untouchable not because the journey was easy, but because she endured when it was unbearable. Every step she takes toward healing, every piece of herself she stitches back together with resilience and faith, becomes armor. Armor that no lie, no betrayal, no loss can pierce again. When a woman learns to stand alone, she learns freedom. She learns that happiness is not tied to another person, that peace is not dependent on circumstances, that power is not borrowed but built. She learns that her worth is not defined by who stays or who leaves, but by her ability to keep moving regardless. That discovery is terrifying to those who thought she would always be dependent, who thought her silence meant defeat. But her silence was never defeat. It was preparation. It was the sound of her building a strength no one could see until it was too late. The woman who rebuilds herself alone no longer fears solitude. Where others find loneliness, she finds peace. Where others see emptiness, she sees space to grow. She has trained her soul to thrive in silence, to embrace stillness, to fight battles that no one else even knows exist. And that training makes her unshakable when the world returns with noise, chaos, and temptation. She is no longer swayed by sweet words, no longer weakened by false promises, no longer desperate for validation. She stands so firmly on her own 2 feet that anyone who comes into her life must bring value, not rescue. She becomes untouchable because she understands pain differently now. Pain does not scare her. She has lived through it, breathed through it, risen above it. She knows she can survive it again if she has to. That realization makes her fearless. And when a woman is fearless, when she looks at life not with dread but with determination, she becomes unstoppable. She is no longer controlled by the fear of losing people, the fear of failure, or the fear of rejection. She has already lost, already failed, already been rejected, and still she stands. Her presence becomes magnetic. People may not understand why, but they feel it. They feel the weight of her strength, the calmness of her spirit, the power of her journey. She does not need to speak loudly to be heard, because her very existence speaks volumes. She doesn't need to prove anything, because her scars are proof enough. And she doesn't need to chase anything because she attracts what aligns with her strength. That is the energy of a woman who rebuilt herself without anyone's help. That is why she is untouchable. And the beauty of it all is this: she doesn't rebuild herself for the applause, for the recognition, or for anyone else. She rebuilds herself because she refuses to stay broken. She refuses to let the world keep her down. She refuses to be defined by what hurt her. That decision alone separates her from the ordinary. It elevates her into a realm of her own where she is not a victim, but a victor, not fragile, but formidable, not breakable, but beyond reach. So, the woman who rebuilds herself alone becomes untouchable because she has already faced the worst, already endured the storm, already risen from the ashes. What can the world do to her now? Nothing. She has already proven to herself that she is enough. She has already walked alone through the valley and found her strength at the other side. And once a woman discovers that kind of power, she can never go back to who she was before. She walks forward with a confidence that cannot be stolen, with a resilience that cannot be shaken, and with a spirit that cannot be broken. That is the essence of untouchable, not someone who has never known pain, but someone who has conquered it, rebuilt herself from it, and risen stronger than ever before. And so the story of the strong woman who rebuilt herself alone is not a tale of weakness, but of unstoppable power. She is living proof that isolation does not destroy, it transforms. That pain is not punishment, it prepares. That every scar is not a reminder of defeat, but a medal of survival. She stands as a symbol for every soul who has ever felt abandoned, broken, or lost. Her strength whispers to the world, "I am not defined by what I went through. I am defined by what I became because of it." The woman who rebuilt herself alone is untouchable because she no longer needs the world to validate her worth. She carries her own fire, her own armor, her own unshakable belief. Nothing can silence her, nothing can bend her spirit, nothing can strip away what she has forged in the darkness. And when she walks forward, she carries every broken piece not as shame but as proof of her victory. The world may never understand how she did it, but they will never forget the power of her presence. Because once a woman rebuilds herself alone, she doesn't just survive, she becomes unstoppable.